guys. Welcome back to another episode of Waking Up with Wisdom with the Garden of Enlightenment. My name is Jennifer. Today's special guest is the unique Tonya Lee. She is a multi-gifted psychic, mediumship and life coach. And we're really excited to have her on today. Hi, Tonya.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
How are you doing today?
I'm blessed. How are you?
I'm blessed as well. We actually had some really nice weather today. How are you doing? Tell everybody where you're located.
I'm in Fort Worth, Texas. It started out a little cold this morning, but it sure did get nice.
Yes, it was a bit chilly in Houston this morning. We had frost.
Oh, did you? We didn't have that. It wasn't that cold.
Yeah, we had frost. I was kind of surprised, but all right, Tonya, do you want to go ahead and tell us how you got started on your story, your spiritual awakening story?
Okay. Kind of started out a little strange, as is everybody's, I guess. I actually got very sick, and I had my mother had passed away. She passed away on Halloween, and we were getting ready to go to her funeral, and a piece of my colon broke off. And so compile that with ICU and multiple surgeries later, and I was having all kinds of weird, kind of crazy things and dreams and seeing things, but I didn't think much of it because, I was also surgeries and stuff. And then I got better, and then my husband got sick, and in 4 months, he passed away. I had to put him in hospice, and he passed away. And then 5 months later, my brother was found in his apartment. He had been gone for almost a little over a week. And then I identified him. It was close to almost 2 weeks by the time I got back home, got identified him and everything. And so I don't know, that compile of those three back to back, and seeing death so gruesome, because he wasn't embalmed. So I got to see him in a very rotting stage. And it really had me almost over the edge. I was just like, forget this.
I'm sitting here and I'm like, my mouth is open. Yeah. Wow. Okay.
And then I was really contemplating suicide, to be honest with you. I have, at the time, my son was 9. And so I was having a hard time with doing that at his age. And that was like my battle. And then one day he came to me and says, Mom, I hear Dad. I'm like, what do you mean? Like, I can hear him calling my name. And before nightfall, I started finding piles of feathers. And then it was feather pile. And I'm not just talking 1 or 2 feathers. I thought the neighborhood cat had killed a bird. And so I'm finding like piles of feathers, but there's no like bird carcass, there's nothing there. It's just a pile of feathers. And so I found one outside of the car door where I stepped. We cleaned that up. Then I found one at the back door. Then I found one on the front porch. Then I went back out. This is all in a matter of a few weeks. A pile up underneath each chair on the porch. And then it wasn't until I walked by the microwave, and I had, those things that you put over the plate to keep things from splattering in the microwave. That was kind of like, when your spouse passes away, you think about the silly things that you would find, chit chat about. And that was one of the things. And I was like, oh, yeah. And I opened it up, and there was a feather inside. And then I got up the next day, and there was a feather on my keyboard, and I went to work. And I was like, oh, man.
He was really getting your attention.
Yeah, and then it was just like, man, I got to go, what do I do? I don't know nothing about this stuff. And said, go online. So I started going online, and then all kinds of other things. And
Those, I know
I,
that journey.
yeah, and then it just started, unfolding big time from there. And but I couldn't get anybody to connect with him. I could get people to connect to my mom and my brother and a few other people from my dad's side. I mean, from my husband's side of the family that had passed, but nobody could connect to him, and I was getting really frustrated. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to learn how to do this stuff. I'm tired of throwing this money out here and not getting nothing, and just being so desperate for that message. And so I started studying, and here I am years later.
How many years?
Never. Uh, I'll be 2 years in the public with it. Um, Actually, in May will be 2 years in the public with it. But I started studying um, about 2.5 years ago. So I studied for a long time, and I, went to different people and listened and learned and tried tried to cover as much knowledge about the different things because I have a good relationship with God. And from what I had been taught, this was a fine line, and I didn't want to mess that up. And I was so happy to find out I wouldn't. So, and I had never dreamed of doing what I'm doing. That wasn't the intent. But once I was able to connect with my husband, and then I read and I know how that feels to be so desperate to want that message and to get that clarity that man, death isn't the end. I mean, it's really not the end. That hooked me. I was like, oh man, I got to do this for other people.
That's it. That I think you just hit the nail on the head is where it frustrates me the most is that we're living here on this planet and we're experiencing life, but it is just a small portion of what is on the other side. It's like it's not the end of the world when we die. It's there is something afterwards where we truly live on. We're just living in the suit for right now.
Yes, and there was a lot of. I mean, of course, it's not what you want. I mean, you want them next to you. You want to be able to see him and talk to him, and even when you talk to him in spirit, it's not like me and you are talking. So, but like I try to tell people, you just have to learn the new ways to communicate. And think of it like if someone was on the other side of the world and you didn't have access to a phone, you'd figure out a way to communicate, right? And so that's what you do in spirit. You just, find out, and every spirit's different. I mean, it's an experience, and it's a blessing to be able to connect to people and help them, excuse me, find that closure.
That's awesome that you do that. I'm sure you help a lot of people because like you understand completely. You've been there, especially like you just said, seeking those answers. And that's what this is all about. And I know we never intend, I'm what I do, I never thought that I would be doing now. It's just it feels right because it's in alignment to what you're supposed to be doing.
Yes, exactly. And I do a lot of other things, um, but that's really to try to bring people to come in for the healing. Because at the end of the day, what I really have come to learn and realize that this is all just about healing.
Mm-hmm.
And there's so many different modalities, and use as many different modalities as you can to catch someone's attention and draw them in and get them to understand that, hey, you know what, honey, you really can create your own reality. You really can, do what you want to do. You're not trapped. And I really thought I was trapped. I mean, had I not, I wouldn't be here now.
You are exactly right. I keep that's there's such a misconception of like, psychic or mediumship, or even if you're reading tarot cards or whatever, Um, it's so much more than that. It is the healing aspect. It's tools. It's all these modalities, these tools to help you dig deeper to get whatever you need to be healed up to the surface, and so that you can start moving forward in life and not have those blocks like you said.
Exactly. Because, I mean, you know, grief is not something you get over. It's really not. It's just, I try to explain it to people like, think of being diagnosed with lupus. There's not a cure for lupus. And I use that because that's how my husband died. He, out of nowhere, I mean, he was 32. Um,
Wow.
and, you know, when it hits, it just hits. And that's kind of the way grief is. So, if, you know, once you're diagnosed, what are you told, you know, what are you going to do? You're going to change your diet. You're going to change, you know, your regimen, your daily regimen, you know, everything about your life, right, to fit around this uncurable disease. And that's what you have to do with grief. You have to, and the more that you do that and you look at it from that perspective, the more you can tell when those waves are going to come, and the easier it is to handle. Not that it makes grief hunky dory, because there's nothing about it hunky dory, but it makes it manageable. And at the end of the day, that's where we got to get to. We got to get to the point where grief is manageable, so that way we can, you know, still be there for the ones that are around and left to love on, that need us.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. I couldn't have said that better. Well, was there anything else that you do outside of, just dealing with the mediumship? I mean, and the life coaching?
Yeah, I do. I do a lot of I do a little bit of tarot. I don't try to do too much tarot, to be honest. I do more oracle, just because you know, oracle helps provide the solutions from spirit, where tarot's just telling the story. Um, I do a lot of pendulum work. I can bring spirit on a pendulum, which is something I don't do too often for people, but it's it's an amazing thing when you can actually touch spirit and have them enter you. It's very hard to explain, but
That's pretty awesome.
yeah, it can be. I learned the hard way. You have to kind of manage that very well, because however they left this earth is how you're going to feel after. I'm
Oh,
not doing a whole,
nice.
yeah. So I don't do it a whole lot, to be honest. I just do it for people that I know that really need it. Um, I do I do a lot of one-on-ones, counseling. I do some intuitive counseling as well. I have a inner child shadow working program that I work with people. That's something I've kind of developed over the past year. You know, also coming into this journey, I have a really kind of unique kind of childhood, and now that I can look back and know what I know now, and as much more awakened that I've gotten, and see things from this perspective, I can see all the things throughout my life,
Mm-hmm.
and learning about shadows,
Mm-hmm.
because the way it was first explained to me was kind of like on the dark side of it, you know. But it's not so much the dark. It's I mean, it is, but we all have this. I mean, whatever you can see someone else do, you're just as capable of doing that. Even though you can sit there and judge and say, "Oh, I would never." You probably have in another life. I mean, we're all capable of doing that. It's just a matter of controlling those urges and not letting the emotions take over.
Ding,
So
ding, ding, ding,
that's,
ding. I
yeah.
love
So
what
that's what I do.
this is my favorite talk, because I can do this thing. It's like remote viewing on your life.
Yes, that's and that's exactly what I do. I try to take people back to that moment when something was broke off with them, with spirit, and then heal that child. And then um, it's a pretty intense program. You have to be committed, and that's for sure. And but you end up facing everything, and then it gives you the tools that you need, because, you know, just because you do the healing doesn't mean stuff's not going to happen. All kinds of stuff's still going to happen. So now you have tools in your belt to deal with things in a more appropriate way where, it's not lingering around afterwards. And so that's my goal. My goal really is just to be a ripple effect to people. That's my goal. Just to try to, say, hey, here's a little bit of stuff, roll with it, and so I do those programs. I do a little bit. I have a group, and I'll do little projects with them. I've started doing like little healing projects. I do a lot with energy with the believer. Has some extra powerful crystals on there, and some wrapped in copper, and it has some earth magnets on it, and I can really move someone's energy long distance and clear things out. I do a lot of remote viewing, a little bit of automatic writing. That too, I touch spirits. So that in the pendulum, either one of those modalities, I'm touching spirits. So I have to be a little careful with that. But and I recently have had a spirit channel through me, which is that happened to me on the live the other day, and I was like, whoa, I didn't see that coming, but it was it was very unique, that's for sure. It was but that's kind of what I do. I just try to use whatever tools that people are wanting, so that way I can pull it, reel them in to get some healing. That's basically what I'm trying to do.
I love it. That's exactly what it is. And it's a necessity right now because of everything that's going on currently in the collective. And that's the whole point of healers and shamans. We don't heal you, we help you and we teach you and give you the tools so you can learn how to heal yourself. Life's going to
Yes,
happen. Life's going to happen regardless, but it goes a little bit more smoother, and you can navigate through it a little bit easier when you start having the right tools.
exactly, because and I tell people all the time, look, I don't mind. I'll do some mediumship for you. I'll do it a few times for you. But if you're I don't care how much money you have. If you're booking me every 3 or 4 weeks for a message, no, it's not going to fly, because now you're addicted to the message and not the healing, and that's not healthy. And I'm not here to try to trap people in. Oh, you got to have a reading. Oh my goodness! Now, if you don't have that reading, even when I do my one-on-one readings, I have a membership. And people can join up for like as low as $1, and I pull them a card a month. But that's like once a month, and that's kind of like a little guidance. Okay, here's where we're going now. Here's where we're going next. And each level has different. But the point is that so many people, and I know because I'm in a lot of groups and I see it everywhere, and I love everybody that I'm around, but I also see all the crud that goes with it, and it's so much. For a better lack of word, brainwashing. I don't know what better word to say, because people are broken, and when they come into this, there's something that brought them broken, and it's taking advantage of that vulnerability. And instead of giving them, teaching them how to fish,
It's keeping
like,
them still stuck in the problem.
Yeah, it's like, oh no, you have to have me to eat. I can't teach you how to fish. Oh no, 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 no. Then I might lose my bank, right? Because you're my money. And that's such a horrible thing, and I see it so much. So I mean, it's more about trying to teach people what to do, and for them to be able to get to a point where they can make decisions without the grace of the cards, because that's not the answer. That's just something to help us through.
I'm so glad you brought that up, because I take notice of that too. Like I try to, in the mornings, I pull a card, or I'll check to see what the card of the day is or whatever. But when I was going through something, over the past couple of months, there's a lot of things going on that have touched me personally. and I would start getting into the cards more, and I was like, okay, I'm not tapping into what I need to be tapping into, which is inside of me. I'm relying on something to give me the answers when I know that the answers are inside. I just have to seek them. So I'm really
Yeah.
glad you touched on that, because that's so true. It's not having us stay stuck in that, or even if whoever's watching this, if you are booking readings and everything like that, and someone is doing that, be cautious of that, because you don't want to stay, our job is to teach you how to heal yourself.
Yes, exactly. I mean, it's great to use the cards and everything, and you can use those from here to doomsday if you want, but you still, the objective is to get you connected to your higher self.
Hmm.
And and once you can connect to your higher self, then you're allowed to let spirit flow through. And a lot of people don't really get that whole concept of connecting to higher self. They're so busy of wanting to connect to angels and spirits, and that's great, but our higher self is the one that walks with us every day. And that's the number one that we have to connect with. I mean, that and source, of course, but
That's the
you
only
know,
two that I connect. I say that all the time. Everyone's like, "Well, what angel?" Or, they're like, they talk to this angel. I don't really connect with any of the angels. I will ask them for help every once in a while. I can feel their presence when they come in or anything like that. But I literally seek, all my answers are from source and from my higher self. That's it. That's the only two people I get guidance from. That's
now
it.
I do pray to the angels like I pray to God every morning. But it's um, be with me, help heal my
It's
heart,
that
body, mind, and soul. You know what I mean? But it's not like, hey, I just. It's
it's
not
the
that.
connection, like you said, it's the
Yeah.
connection,
Yes,
and it's such
exactly.
a beautiful connection.
And that's key because if you can't, the main thing that I don't care what the problem is. Anybody that doesn't love themselves is not going to connect. You can't connect if you don't love yourself, and you can't love others if you don't love yourself. You'll love them in a certain way, but you won't love them unconditionally. And that's the big thing. I mean, we've got generation after generation after generation that unconditional love is not something that was discussed. I mean, it's not. It wasn't. It wasn't in the known about. It was like, no, you need to do this, this, and this, and this, and so you have to kind of get to that point where you love yourself unconditionally, and until you do that, you're not really. People can say they're connected to their higher self, but it's only in a glimpse. It's kind of like just like a dim light. Instead of flipping the switch, they're just kind of like got the dimmer on, which why have the dimmer on when you can have the full light? You know, but you have to love yourself first, and that's key. Once you love yourself first, then you can look and at everybody else. And once you know how to give yourself unconditional love, then you can give that to others. And once you're able to do that, then you can do the unconditional positive regard. And you know, we can just take a look around at our world and see that's obviously nobody gives much of that. you know,
Hmm.
everything's about differences. And everything is different, and it's supposed to be different, and that's what's really beautiful. Actually, it's not horrible.
I love this talk. We could go on and on all day. These are my favorite talks. This is why I love doing this show. So you're exactly right. I could not agree with you more. It's exactly what I interpret, the messages that I've gotten, how source and my higher self has guided me on this journey, this path to self-discovery.
Yes.
It's truly beautiful. I mean, once you have that aha moment and you see that the way that life truly is, and it's even more confirming because me and you, we have never really talked, and everything that you're spouting out of your mouth is the same thing that is playing in my head. Um, which is even more confirming that, we're both getting the same messages and everything. So
Yeah. And I mean, people come into this community, and there's so many different avenues that you can take, and so many get wrapped up in all the um, psychedelics of it, right? The traveling, you know, all this long-worded verbiage that just gets people trapped. It's just like, oh, that sounds so smart, but at the end of the day, is that person healing you? That's what a light worker is supposed to do. It's not just to stand, to sit there and talk a bunch of stuff. It's about healing people and helping them, find peace. So then they go out and then they exhibit that, and that's how you make the world a better place, in my opinion. Instead of trying to start a revolution, you know.
well, there is a revolution going on behind the scenes.
Yeah, there is, and that's going to happen regardless. So we really need to be in check. We really need to be
You
in
could
check.
not be more correct on that. Exactly. Exactly. So I agree with you on that as well. I mean, that's the whole point of the light workers. I have me and Stephanie, we talk a lot about labels. And all these, what clarity, people will ask what clarity you have. It's like all of these different clairs, some that even that there weren't even clairs called long time ago, now there's new clairs. It's all these gifts that are just coming up. It's all these labels. It's all these different healing modalities. It's not just like one person is right, the other person is wrong. It shouldn't be all about like, there should be an honest energy exchange, not, taking your money and keeping you stuck in the problem. You're right about all of that. That is what we're here to be, is light workers. It's I try to tell my clients that there's not one right way to find healing. It is finding the way that works for you. I have X, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. This is what works for me. Go and try these out and see if it works for you. What worked for me may not work for you, but hey, let's fine tune it and find out what works for you.
Yes, exactly. That's one thing I love about, when I came up with my program, I was like, how in the world am I going to put this together? And, Spirit was like, no, it's going to be spirit led. And so it's literally spirit led. I have no idea what I'm doing until I sit down with that person. You have homework. I have no idea what that's going to be until almost the end of our session. Then they'll say, okay, give them that for homework. Um, you know, it's not handled. The only thing that's going to be the same is you're going to start with the journal and we're going to burn it when we're done. That's all I can tell you is going to be the same on every path. Other than that, everything that happens in between, that's why uh, that's the lovely thing about spirit and being able to connect with them, is that you allow them to come in and do what they know best, not what we know best. Because obviously we don't, or we wouldn't, be having things the way they are. So it makes sense to listen to them all the way around, because all the, the revolution, like you said, is happening in the background. And for everybody spending all this time talking about this and making a ruckus about that and this and that, but yet they're not getting themselves ready. What are you going to do when it happens? What are you going to do when you see it? If you're not in a place now, trust me, that's going to be 10 times worse. So let's get right. And then you're going to be able to, help others, through that process, because it's, I'm sure I'm not too sure we'll see it in our lifetime completely, but we'll get a glimpse of it. It's the children that are going to be the ones that change.
We've touched on this topic about helping the children that are coming in, because
Oh yeah.
they're going to be the ones that are really going to be bringing in a change. But yes, definitely. Is there anything else that you would like to tell our guest? Yeah, I know you have a website.
Oh yeah, I do. It's TonyaLee.com. Um, it has I have my story on there, and then all my services, and you can book and do everything on there. I have a Facebook page where I do my lives from. Um, I have and that's a unique Tonya Lee. And then I have my Facebook group, which is Awakening Your Soul by Tonya Lee. It's kind of different. It's not like your average, hey, give me a reading type of group. It's, you know, everybody they know that the purpose of that group is healing. And then I have my secret Facebook group. So if you subscribe or become a member, I have $1 a month, $4.99, $14.99, or $24.99. Just depends on what kind of readings you want each month. Then I put you in a secret Facebook group, and then so I do that as well. So those are the different avenues that you can do.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, thank you. We are almost out of time, so I'm going to go ahead and wrap up the show. I just wanted to say thank you for joining us today.
Oh, thank you for having me. Thank you so much.
Yes.
It was fun and a pleasure.
And I love hearing your story. And guys, y'all make sure y'all go and check her out. I will put the website on the link below, the Facebook group, and also her Facebook page. And I believe do you have a YouTube?
Oh yes, I do. I have YouTube. I do have a YouTube and a Instagram. Everything is a unique funny link, so that way it's the same thing across. I'm trying to get better at my YouTube. I get so caught up in doing the Facebook lives, and I forget about uploading them over there. And
we'll talk after this. I'll show you some tricks. So, but
okay.
Thank you for joining us. And if you haven't already, make sure to give us a thumbs up, like, and subscribe. Hit the notification so you can make sure to not miss the next episode. If you would like to join us on this show, please see the description below. You can fill out, book us an appointment. We'll get you on. And again, thank you for joining us, and we look forward to seeing y'all later. Bye.
Bye-bye.